Welcome back to the Nullified Take on YouTube, where I've got the TNT takes for you on the latest episode of the Challenge 39. That's right, episode 7. And I'm back to talk about it. As you can see, it's a little bit different compared to what we normally do here. It's normally myself and Kahuna both dissecting and discussing the show. But this week, Kahuna is not feeling too well at the time that I could record. And I was away for quite a bit. I did a bit of camping in Wilson's Prom over here in Victoria, Melbourne. Great camping trip. But because of that, our schedules didn't align in the normal recording time. And then when I finally had time to record, Kuna wasn't feeling well, but I know he'll be back up and running by the time we do our recording for next week. So it's going to be a little bit different. It's been a while since I've done one of these solo sort of recordings talking about an episode. It might be a little bit shorter than usual, but I will try and go into all of the highlights and the things that happened within the episode. I know it's not live, which it's so much easier when you do one of these things and it's live and you can bounce off people and you get their energy and their questions as well. But I will do my best to entertain here for the next 30 or 40 minutes. Hopefully we get around that sort of time frame. But let's start off here with episode 7. Episode 7 is an interesting one because normally you get the triumphant person return to the house and they get their moment to shine. They've just gone into an elimination. They've won the elimination. But obviously this time it was a little bit different because we had the champion, the Jordanimal, I think they called him, who came into the game and then took out Karen, which means that we had no one coming back, which made it feel a little bit different. A lot of the house guests at the house, they talk about the fact, I think it was Zara who brought up that maybe we now should change our strategy and throw in the strongest people to try and protect our money, which it doesn't feel like that's a good strategy for Zara to say that because she is coming across as one of the stronger females out there. She's already had that reputation in World Championship when she went into that. She's a runner-up of her season. A bit of miscalculation with Wes in that season ended up costing her, and she ended up going home early. But I think she's someone that the house would look at. She's not part of Team USA. She's part of the International UK Alliance, and now she's saying, let's throw strong people down there where they could easily gaslight her and say, hey, Zara, you're a strong person. Let's throw you down there. So I feel like it's a bad thing for her to say. You should never, as a strong competitor, necessarily want to go down there into the elimination because anything can happen, right? When you go down to the elimination, it could be your last time doing so. So I thought that was interesting. They also have this really fun conversation about who's potentially going to come out next. And they talk about, quite a few of the people who potentially would come in to the game, like Laurel, Cara Maria. I'm surprised that they're throwing Cara Maria's name out there, sort of knowing that she hasn't been a part of the challenge for quite a long time. And it does make me wonder if some of these champions were spotted at an airport when they were coming in, or if they had information potentially. We spoke about that in the previous podcast where Jay brought up the fact that we may have mercenaries coming into the game, which I thought was just so interesting that he thought that. They haven't done a mercenary twist for a very long time, but somehow it felt like he had inside information in regards to that. But you kind of hear Corey's voice in the background. And I know that some people are like hit and miss on Corey. I personally have enjoyed him this season. I continue to enjoy Corey. And I know that is going to upset a lot of friends of mine that watch the show, that watch this. I just don't get the hate personally at this stage. And I love the fact that he is bringing a bit of drama to the game. But it's interesting hearing Corey on the sideline saying he wants to face CT. And I was just thinking to myself, Corey, I like you. You don't want that heat. You do not want the heat of CT coming up against you. I mean, Corey is physically in shape and probably could do reasonably well physically, but CT is a different animal. So it was interesting to hear that. Narus is the one that I think said Laurel potentially could come in. And then there was the funny comment about, let's see if James comes in, or if we throw James in there, he has to go up against Banana so they can fight for Mariah. A bit of a funny remark being made there. Probably wouldn't be fun for Bananas if he was out there to find out that Mariah's been getting close to James, but clearly shows you that that has continued on. And we've just not seen a lot of it on the camera at this stage. Then we moved into like a bit of a relaxing scene, I guess, with all of them sort of chilling at the house. And Horacio and Narus, they get a little bit of an opportunity to talk and connect with each other. I know I upset a few people by saying, sort of playing off Jay's words last week with Narus being a bit more of a party girl. and I had some fun with it. I don't care enough about this relationship really for it to be like a controversial thing on the channel. But a few people said, you shouldn't say she's from the streets. It makes it sound worse or whatever. And that's fair. It's fair. I mean, I did it just to be funny and probably wasn't funny in the moment. And, I apologize if I offended anybody in regards to that. It wasn't meant to be taken very seriously from my end in any case. But it was great to see Horacio and Naruse have this time together to connect. They're from different opposite parts in regards to how they mentally think, with Horacio being someone that's very dedicated to obviously being in shape and his fitness and doesn't drink a lot. He's seen as, like Naruse says herself, she says that he is someone that is a good boy, and it's not someone that she would normally go for, but she's kind of attracted to that. And they connect about things from home. Like, I think they were connecting with about how, I think they were both talking about their mothers, basically, and that kind of continued to build that connection. So you could clearly see that something is happening here, something is cooking up between the two of them. And we know that now, since the show, they are in a relationship. So I do hope it goes well for them, and we're getting to see it sort of develop here on the show. I'm not the biggest relationship person when I watch the challenge, but I know a lot of people, they're probably really appreciating this and really loving the showmance, the romance that is sort of happening in front of their eyes here. It's not why I watch the challenge, but it's delivering for those people who have been missing out on something like this, maybe a real connection on the show. It's interesting to see also Olivia talking about how, obviously Horacio moves at a snail's pace. And last week, some people said maybe she's a bit jealous. Maybe, people were speculating why Naruse and Olivia no longer follow each other. But in this moment, it still looks like she's very supportive of it. And she just says she hopes that Horacio doesn't treat her friend Naruse badly or anything like that. So it's the only comment sort of that she made in regards to it, but it looked like she was happy. We also now get an official alliance name, a new alliance name. We've had many an alliance names back in the day, the Treehouse, Young Bucks, all these alliance names that are forming. And now we can add the Fantastic Four to the alliance names of the challenge. And the Fantastic Four consists of Michelle, Naruse, Asaf, and Jay. Asaf is a bit of a covert agent within that alliance. And it'd be interesting to know when the season is over, how many people actually picked up on the fact that Asaf was working with these players in the game, because they seem to think that it's very much undercover. It does play off later on in this episode, and it looks like it is a thing that is going to work for these players moving forward. But Asaf obviously having that real-life friendship with Jay being the catalyst between Asaf, Michelle, and also Naruse in the game, because he's friends with both of them. It brings in a pretty strong alliance here, and I think an alliance that can do damage this season. I really think it can do damage. I know I've been hard on Michelle sometimes in regards to her strategic play and being messy. I don't think that's going to change, and there's still a likelihood she could get in trouble, but I do think that Jay and Naruse, they seem to be strategically very sound within that team. And then Asaf, he's kind of faded back a little bit into the background this week after he was a target of Corey's last week. But you almost have to wonder, how many people would have thrown Asaf into an actual elimination outside of Corey. So, and Corey looked like he was doing more damage control since then than what Asaf had to do. So I feel like he's still in a pretty good position within that alliance. And obviously, he's going to bring some valuable information back to them. Jay and Arissa Michelle, all three of them seem to be in a great position to dictate the vote for the Americans, at least. So very, very strong alliance forming here. We also now find out with this alliance that they are targeting Melissa and Big T. And that shows you the kind of power that this alliance potentially has in the house, because ultimately, those are also the two players that are going to be in danger by the end of this episode. Both Melissa and Big T, they're not part of the American alliance. They're Team UK and easy pickings at this stage. Going into the next day here, we have Michelle having a conversation with Corey and owning up to the fact that Paranoid Michelle came out. And obviously they now know the format of the show. Michelle is aware that she was never in danger. And they have a real moment here. And I've got to say, I kind of like the friendship between Corey and Michelle. They've got a friendship outside of the house. It sounds like they've always remained in touch. They obviously had an elimination partnership together as well. So they experienced that when they went down into the sand, and that probably makes you bond at a certain level. But it does sound like this is a real life friendship, which makes it even worse that Michelle was questioning Corey in that case, in my opinion. Like, if they're like tight outside of the game. But she sort of mentioned she wasn't sure where Corey was at. He didn't look like he was necessarily gravitating towards a specific group, and then he was kind of floating between the two alliances, and that is why she questioned his loyalty. And Corey at this point says that Michelle is still his number one, but no one has ever hurt him the way that she's hurt him in this game. So will that come back to bite Michelle in the butt? That's what you've got to ask yourself, because Corey seems to be that guy that if you cross him, he won't forget. But he does make up with her in this moment. They do seem to be in a good place, and they cry it out together. So I don't dislike this friendship. Love to see what they can do in the game. But I feel like we're seeing the confessional about Michelle having hurt him more than anybody else for a reason. So that could come back. It could be a little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of editing, throwing that in there, maybe foreshadowing for the future. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go in the future. Also love the whole comment about Michelle saying, "I'm a bitch," and then Corey is like, "No, I'm a bitch." I don't know. It seems like a fun dynamic between the two of them, similar to Melissa and Big T and their friendship. I'm really, really sort of standing this friendship. Now, the daily challenge was bingo bango, and Big T, like, clearly there's some loose lips in the house. She says, Melissa and I, we're both in danger. So they knew going into that challenge that they are in trouble. And it could just be simply looking at the numbers and knowing that every single international person almost at this point had been targeted except for Raven. And that, doing the math with how many girls are outside of that group and how well they fit in with the Americans, they maybe knew that they were in trouble. But it sounded like maybe some information made its way to Big T somehow at this stage in the game. Mariah also mentions that she's very frustrated and angry, and she wants to get her hands on someone. And it doesn't really get explained why. Like, why is she feeling this way? Like, who has upset Mariah down in the house where she's feeling like she needs to get her hands on someone? So that was quite interesting. But Bingo Bango, they split them up in teams, and the way that they split them up in teams is how they were standing on the podiums while they were waiting for the challenge to start, which I thought was interesting, because I always thought production would say, you stand here, you stand there. I didn't think that the players were like necessarily lining up in a certain way. And if it is production who's telling them to do that, it would mean that production pretty much determined the teams. I'm not saying that that's what production did. And I'm sure that there are some people in the comment section below, you can let me know, that have listened to some of the podcasts and know some of the behind the scenes goss, that will be able to tell me how that came about. But it seemed very convenient at that stage. And the teams also seemed a little bit off balance with, I think it was Team Turquoise that had, and turquoise, what a random color. Like, normally you'd have red, blue, yellow or something like that, but turquoise, blue, and red for this one. But Turquoise was the team that had all of the meat. They had all of the muscle in their team, and also the team that both red and blue decided to target here in this specific episode. And I love this daily challenge. I thought the daily challenge was a lot of fun. They got in the mud, a lot of slow motion action shots with them walking and running in the mud. And Zara got all of the screen time here in this episode to really make us see again how much of a competitor she is. She is lightning when it comes to running in and out of that mud pit, grabbing the ball and getting out of there before anybody can even get a hand on her. But the most controversial part of this whole daily challenge, which I love, I mean, anything physical where they have to get their hands on each other, then they have them running into the mud, wrestling with great slow-mos and things like that, it's always going to be exciting for me to watch. And it was even more exciting when Nairus held back Melissa, and then I can't remember who the person was because I literally just watched the episode. It may have been even Zara. She helped her get the ball for the bingo out of it, and Melissa took exceptional offense to this. And we know that Melissa is someone that is not to be messed with. She is feisty and she will fight. She's even got a martial arts background, so it's like the one person you don't want to struggle with, you know. Sorry about that. It's the one person you don't want to struggle with. And seeing this fight take place with Melissa kicking Nairus in the back, definitely uncalled for, right? Like, you don't kick someone in the back. And Nairus obviously ready to scrap as well. She's not going to stand back. And I was kind of surprised that TJ didn't say anything like, hey, you cannot kick someone when the buzzer is gone, or like there's a certain level of wrestling that you're allowed to do, but you just can't just kick someone in the back. Maybe it wasn't that hard, but I feel like if this was Survivor and if this was Jeff Probst, he probably would have called that out and he would have been like, this is too far. You can't do that. And this is drama that's going to continue on for a long time. You can tell. No, Roos took offense to this. I would have taken offense to it if I was out there, and she wants blood. She wants Melissa's name out there. But it sort of makes it very interesting because Team Blue and Team Red, they helped each other here with the red team winning. I think a lot of it also thanks to Zara's speed, but Zara, Kylan, Emmanuel, Berna, Colleen, and Horacio all safe. And Melissa feels like with this group, she's in a good position because she's got this thing going up. She's hooking up with Kylan. Kylan will never say her name. Kylan and Horacio are really good friends in the house, apparently. That's a thing that's happened. And Horacio will probably back Kylan in that situation. And then Zara, being from the UK herself, would probably protect her. That was her calculation coming into this. But Emmanuel, Berna, and Colleen being the really big question mark for me at this stage, because we see a lot of her on the screen, but not a lot when it comes to strategy. So you never really know where she's at. It seems like she's been convinced that she's got a home with Berna and Emmanuel with Team US. Emmanuel, Berna, and Colleen are not really a part of Team International. And that's evident here. That's really evident because of the fact that they actually end up targeting Melissa. And Kylan tries to stop that, and he tries to get Horacio with him. And it looked like for a minute there, Horacio was going to back him, which meant that Zara wouldn't have to say Melissa's name either, or she was in a bad position. But then Neirus starts talking, I believe, Spanish with him. Apologies if I get that wrong. But being able to communicate with him in that language, which means that there's a different level of intimacy that comes with that. Him and Neirus, they're getting closer. Sways it for him, where she says he is in love with her. Don't waste your game for love. He's not loyal to you. And he does end up following through, which I think would have been a very big test for Neirus here with Horacio. Like, does he really have my back? Is he gaming me or is he with me? And he goes with her on this one. So it does mean that Melissa does end up becoming the vote for the person go in, and Big T feels some kind of way about it. Like, how did this happen with Kylan being in the team? I mean, Kylan had all the power in that team. Like, he should have prevented it. Kylan alone should have prevented it. I know. I'm being too much there. But, obviously I felt for the guy. He had no power. He was one person, and he's clearly a pawn within that Team USA. They don't care enough about him to listen to his opinion in the game. And he needs to find a new alliance at this stage, in my opinion. Otherwise, he's going to be someone that is going to be disposable within the coming weeks. And that's something that's interesting to me, is a lot of people who don't realize that they're probably in a very disposable situation in the alliance currently. But they're still just following the numbers. So it's interesting. We're going to have to see how that plays out in the long run. But back in the house, there's a lot of conversation about who's going to go in next now. Neirus still very upset about what happened, took it very personal, talks to Zara and Raven, and Melissa wants to target Neirus. And she's trying to also save Big T in the process. And that is going to be Melissa's gig for most of the latter part of this episode. She goes into the party. She has a conversation with people. And she wants very badly to target here Neirus, and she talks to Corey about it, thinking that it's someone that she could potentially create that connection with. Corey is someone that's not as connected to the rest of the house, but it seems to be the wrong calculation from Melissa. I don't blame her. I mean, she's in a position right now where she doesn't have many people. She's got to try and throw everything at the wall and see if something sticks. Corey has had some moments with people on the other side who have come after him because he's been his own man down there, and he's voted for who he wanted to vote for in the previous round with Karen. Was it Karen going in? I forgot who Michelle was attached to, Asaf. So that was the thing that probably made her think, okay, maybe there's some room. But Corey looks at this as an opportunity. He's like, I can go back and make up with the US alliance and show them I'm loyal and bring this information straight back to them. So it doesn't work for Melissa. And in the party scene, again, we get the love scene with Horacio dancing and stripping in front of Neirus. with not fully stripping, but going topless. And this is a different side of Horacio that we haven't seen before. Like he says that they balance each other out. Maybe he grounds her a little bit more and she brings out a little bit more of a fun side to Horacio. And it seems to be working. All the girls, like Michelle saying, believes Horacio is sexy as hell, probably is to a lot of girls out there. And I think Michelle's probably like, damn, I can't believe Narusa's got Horacio, but she's got Callum, who she doesn't allow to do a lap dance on her while she's there, but she says they'll probably sneak off later on. So clearly they're still doing stuff as well, Callum and herself. But Callum, naughty Callum, has a conversation with Asaf at the party. And he says to Asaf, we need to be aware that there are only international people and UK people going home at this stage. Raven was the exception. And he wants to play a bit of a game. He's like, I like Michelle and I'm sort of riding with her, but I also got to play my own game. Man's got to have some independence out there. But Asaf calling him Pinocchio, saying that he's got him by the puppet strings, basically, making him dance, and that he's going to take all this information back to the Alliance, which he does do later on. He has that conversation with Jay, which still makes me wonder, well, Asaf, are you truly in control, or is Jay the one running that side of things a little bit? It's interesting. But I do like what Asaf is bringing. Like he's, even just bringing up the whole Pinocchio thing, it kind of like brought back memories of my childhood. I'm not going to lie, because I haven't watched Pinocchio since I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. So that's not something you hear all the time. Like, I don't know how big it is still in the US and how many people caught on to it. This is like Geppetto or something. He said he was the master that was sort of the puppeteer. In any case, really fun scene there. A lot of strategizing happening here at the party scene as they're having fun. Naruse and Melissa having that conversation, and Naruse talking about the fact that she has worked really hard on herself not to lose her cool, and she removes herself from the situation, which I thought was smart, because Melissa's got nothing to lose at this point. Her game is starting to go down at the speed of light at this stage. She's got no one that is willing to bat for her. She's clearly seeing that her politicking to get Naruse in is not working. So her best strategy is to go directly at Naruse, try and provoke her, get a reaction from her, maybe for things to blow up at this stage. But Naruse is sitting in the driver's seat. She is right at the front of the bus. She's the pilot of the plane. She does not need to get involved in any drama at this stage. So for her to remove herself from that situation and not to go down and get in a brawl, got to applaud it. It's a smart move. She removes herself from the situation. And back at the house, they have a bit of a conversation about it. And she further connects with Horacio, saying that he makes her feel like a little girl. She gets that butterfly effect again, which, we all know that. We all had that when we were in high school. There was that one person that probably made us feel this way. So I can see how she's kind of falling for him here, and she's being very vulnerable with him. So again, this relationship is moving really fast in front of our eyes. So I really, really hope that this is one of those challenge relationships that last, because it seems to be cute and it's working out for both of them. We already spoke about the Asaf Jay conversation and Asaf letting Jay in on everything. But on the next day, Michelle, Olivia, and Naruse talks about the previous night. As they do, the girls getting together, sharing some information. And Naruse talking about, the fact that she had to walk away from that conversation. They all say, yeah, that was a great move. Kylan is confusing to them at this stage. They don't know where he's at, what he's doing, because he was trying to help Melissa. It's not that confusing. Kylan's got feelings for Melissa. He's not going to go against her. I don't think that it should be very confusing, but I don't think Kylan is that strong in that alliance. Like I said earlier, I feel like there's some danger coming from him in the future. Michelle also talks about how Callum can't know everything. He's got to be held at a distance when it comes to certain things. And then obviously we know in the back end, when Asaf and Jay had that conversation, Jay has been waiting for this moment. He's not like the fact that Callum has come in between him and Michelle We saw the scene with him saying, "Are you loving him more than me?" I think he's felt threatened by Callum for a while. So Asaf coming to him saying that Callum wants to make this move against the US is the perfect ammunition that he needs to drive a wedge between Michelle and Callum. And next week, it's going to be a guys' elimination. So my spidey senses are going off. It's going to be most likely Callum being thrown down there, and it's going to be the Team US guys with Jay leading the charge, asking for Callum to be the nomination. So a lot of foreshadowing, I feel like, is happening in this episode, sort of setting up next episode for us. James and Melissa talk the next morning about how they can potentially save Big T. And Melissa also has a conversation with Big T herself, and they're trying to change the votes here onto Raven because Melissa realizes there's no chance she's getting Nairoos, and Nairoos is the captain of the ship. She's right at the front of that alliance. She is untouchable. So Raven is the one that they throw out there. Big T really goes to bat for Raven here, doesn't want Raven in there. It seems like they have created a very strong bond out there, which was surprising to me. Because it should be anybody but yourself if it comes down to your name being out there. But ultimately, James is happy to do that. He doesn't want both of them to go in. Melissa continues to have a conversation, goes up to, I believe, Michelle and Mariah. Mariah, off the bat, just no care in the world. It's like, listen, I'm sorry, I'm not voting Raven. So basically shooting it down in front of her, and Melissa saying, I've got the numbers to Michelle. And Michelle's kind of like entertaining it. She's thinking if there's numbers, maybe there's a move to be made. But it's closed and shut, this whole case. And Nairoos kind of calls it out saying, there is no way, there's no way Nairoos is going in. So it doesn't work out for Melissa in the way that she would like for it to go. So they get to the deliberation. Melissa, again, has her moment, passionately trying to defend Big T. Raven, very upset about the fact that she potentially could go in again, hearing a name and all that. But it comes down to a fat nothing, a zero, because only one person ends up voting for Raven. I believe it was Big T right at the front. Every single person, with James included and Melissa included, votes for Big T because that alliance that has never been of the UK or international, again, they have not galvanized. We see this every season with the normal challenge where the veterans have got something that galvanizes them. In this case, being American has galvanized a lot of people there, where the UK people have not galvanized. The international people don't find they don't have a home with UK. Some of them have played some shows with the US people. It's also not a bad bet to make yourself more aligned with the US people because they're probably going to become the vets of tomorrow, right? So they're getting outnumbered at this stage, which makes the votes very predictable. But Big T does end up getting voted in. Like Ed said there, a lot of them saying, oh, how bad they feel and all this kind of thing. But it was pre-planned. They knew what they were doing going into it. Going into, but just before we hit the arena, I guess Big T and Melissa kind of have their moment, very emotional about the potential of one of them could be going home and that they would be stuck there without the other, and saying it's the worst alliance ever. Really love their friendship, love the fact that they're there for each other, but it's not their season. It is going downhill for them very quickly here. They're probably going to be in danger, not next week when it's the men's round, but the week after. They'll be most likely back down there. In the arena, we get Melissa and also Big T waiting to hear what is coming up, who are they going against. And in walks the reigning world champion, Kaz. Now, Kaz, from memory, when we did our draft, myself and Angel Cake and Reality Realness, we did our draft. She was the only one who went undrafted that season. So we didn't pick her because I believe in the draft I said I just don't remember her being in the eliminations all that often. And I had a quick look just before going live, actually, or before recording, at her record. She had 0 eliminations during the UK, 2 daily wins, won the season outright. So never really had to take that pressure on. And then she had 1 elimination, which she won in World Championship. But she was attached to Jordan Wisely, who is very experienced. So this was the first time, I believe, that she had to do an elimination on her own. And she's got some weaknesses, puzzles being one of those. I don't think she's ever been too strong at them from memory. So when I saw that it was going to be a puzzle, first part being physical, they're in these barrels that they've got to roll, grab puzzle pieces and then put them together. I knew that whoever was going to go against her is in with a chance. And going to the draw, she pulls Big T's name. We still haven't seen what the third potential is. And maybe that big reaction that we saw from Jay and the next on is the fact that someone pulls the third one finally. I'm thinking, and this is my speculation on it, that the third one is Champion's Choice, where TJ will turn around to them and say, it's your choice. You can pick anyone up there. It doesn't have to be someone down here to come against you in the arena. I've got a feeling it's that, because there's no more fun than seeing somebody get called down. And Jay is so afraid of it. So speculation time, Jay could be the guy that ends up getting called down. Imagine you get CT coming out there. He pulls Champion's Choice and he looks at it and he's like, Jay, I love you, brother, but we've got a score to settle. You're 1-0. I can't let that be. And he pulls Jay down to go in a hall brawl against them. Game over. Be devastating. It'd be devastating for Jay if that happened. But I think that third one is them pulling out a Champion's Choice. But we'll have to see what happens in the future. Like I said, this one here, she's got Big T's name. They go up against each other in the barrel roll. Big T beasting it. Great strategy, collecting all of the puzzle pieces together, throwing them in advance, rolling, throwing them in advance, all together. But it did look like they kind of got to the puzzle board almost at the same time. But Big T, being quicker at the actual puzzle herself, wins this. And Kaz came in. Even when she came in, I didn't feel like she had this, like, when Jordan came in, it was like an aura. It's like, holy crap, this is Jordan. This guy barely ever loses an elimination. Kaz came in, she was like friendly, smiling, which is great in life. It's great. Like, I think Kaz would be amazing to be Kaz's friend would be amazing, because she just looks like a friendly, bubbly person. But you don't fear that in the arena. You fear someone like staring you down, having a bit of a chip on your shoulder, having an attitude. And she didn't have any of that. But she took the loss really well. Like TJ said, champions, it's not just about winning, it's about how you take a loss. And she did do a good job at that. I do feel like she was humble in defeat. And well done to Big T taking out a champion. What a turnaround for Big T. Because at one point she had one of the worst records from memory on eliminations, and she's starting to turn that around this season. Could Big T become the Horacio of this season? And could she take out other champions? Like, which champion do you think she could take out next? That's the question. Could she take out Tori? Could she take out Laurel? Could she take out Cara Maria? We'll have to see. We'll have to see if Big T becomes the champion slayer on her way to the end here. She starts to build confidence and feels like she can win the season now. She will have to win a lot of eliminations to do that. But looking at it in the arena this week as well, man, our girl Big T, she's been working out. She got the swimmer's shoulders. She's got the muscles. Like she's looking strong. So I'm really loving this Big T. I'm loving the fact that she has learned, she got nervous at the puzzle, but she learned how to calm herself a bit with the experience of having played 5 seasons, having gone down there. And I think after a while, if you've lost quite a few eliminations, maybe she's just got it to the point where she's like, I don't feel losing anymore. I've been down that road a few times and I can start turning things around now. So yeah, happy for Big T. They keep the $10,000, even though they didn't want it. They were happy to pay $10,000 for Big T to be out of the game, or a lot of them seem to want that. Melissa and Big T are reunited within the game, and it means that there's going to have to be another shot. So normally I'd be very annoyed with a non-elimination. It would feel like, what did we watch the episode for? But overall, it was entertaining, and it was worth it to see Big T get this big win over Kaz, becoming the bit of a champion slayer, the first one this season to do so. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. Let me know your thoughts on the episode. What did you like? What did you dislike? I'm all here for it. I will read through all of the comments, and I appreciate everybody that have put up with my schedule over the last couple of weeks. I know it's been a little bit different because I haven't always been able to record at the times that I would like to record. Maybe in the future I do a little bit more of this one-on-one type of content as well, because my schedule's all over the place. So let me know any suggestions or thoughts about this, and I would be happy to sort of do what I can in regards to amending this approach to my recaps and reviews. But a lot of it has come down to the fact that I have been super busy back at work. And my job is one of those jobs where it's long hours. It requires networking events and things like that after hours, which has made things a little bit hard getting into the end of the year here with so many great shows on. But please consider subscribing because, even though it's hard work, I love what I do and I'm going to continue to push on and continue to try and put content out there to the best of my ability. And then also, I've got a great team that is working with me. Maki has stepped up. Kahuna has stepped up. Kahuna actually did the Survivor 45 recap with Jake yesterday. So go check that out. We've got Maki, who's now doing Survivor UK as the main host. He has Verity and Tom, who co-hosts with him on that. That has also dropped today. And then we also have Maki stepping up yet again to do Squid Game, the challenge. So the reality TV Squid Game from the Netflix show. That is now also on the channel. So I think they recapped the first 5 episodes this week and they will do the next couple next week as well. So plenty of content still dropping. The channel is still alive and buzzing. So if you like this content, hit subscribe, hit like. Let us know what you love and hate about every single recap. We're not perfect. We're always trying to mend and listen to the crowd. But overall, we love what we do here. So, and become a part of the community. If you hit the notification bell, you'll also be informed whenever a new video drops and whenever we do a live. The lives are definitely the most fun. I'd love to do more of those again in the future where we get to interact directly with you, the audience. But for now, that's it. Thank you so much and catch you guys next time. Bye.